Hi, welcome to PhotoBite. Today I'm going to talk to you about the Nikon 35 Ti. This was a camera built from 1993 to 1999 and it retailed for $1,000 brand new. Now in today's money that's about $1,700, or in UK money that's about £1,300. The modern day equivalent would be something like the Fujifilm X100F, which again is around £1,300. They're both fixed lens premium compact cameras with manual functionality. So really they're designed for like the upper end enthusiast photographer, or maybe someone who's a little bit more professional who wants a nice little compact carry around camera. This was designed as kind of like the last hurrah for film cameras. After this, they never bothered to supersede it because digital cameras came about and suddenly no one really wanted to have any film cameras anymore. Of course, now you've got some kind of resurgence for film, so people are buying them up on places like eBay and the prices are rising a little bit. The competitors for this camera include things like the Contax T3, the Leica Minilux, the Yashica T4, Ricoh GR1 and the Fujifilm Classic. They're all kind of similar-ish. They're more similar than they are different, and I'm sure they're all really good cameras, but this is the only one I had to hand, so I can't really say that this is better than the other ones or the other ones are better than this, although there are extensive comparisons online, which you can read about. However, there is a certain amount of fanboyism about. So take for that what you will. All I can say is I've experienced this camera and I'll talk to you about the good points and the bad points, and you can make up your own mind. So first of all, some of the good points. Let's just go through it one by one. That's how it turns on, and I know it sounds like really cheesy and really 90s, but actually I really like that sound. Same kind of thing, I don't have any film in here, so if I press this, nothing happens. But it makes a really cool sort of electronic motorized sound, which is, I mean, it's nice. Okay. Over here, we've got like some dials, and these dials are really cool. You even got like an aperture priority mode here. I love that, that's so cool, right? And you can press this and you can even have manual focus if you want. I usually leave it on autofocus because it's dead easy. These are all really cool features. This thing, look, you press this down and you can adjust the exposure compensation, so that's quite nice. I really like I just like it. I like the look of it. It's nice. Also, I generally tend to put low ISO film in there so I can get like quite clean results. And indoors, I use a flash. The flash is pretty good most of the time. So far, it's a thumbs up from me. Next up, I want to talk to you about this this lens here. It's a 35mm f2.8. It's got 7 blades, which gives you like a... It's not perfectly circular, it gives you like a 50p coin aperture kind of a thing. I can't show you here because obviously like you can only see the aperture when you're taking a picture, and I don't have film in here, so I can't show you. But you know, the 7-bladed aperture is pretty good. The aperture goes from f2.8 to f22, which is pretty good. As for the shutter, it goes from 2 seconds to 1/500th of a second. As is the norm for cameras of this ilk and of this era. It would have been a little bit nicer if it would have extended a little bit more. 1/1000th of a second would have been good. 1/2000th of a second would have been brilliant. But it is what it is. I mean, it's par for the course. So other things I like about it, apart from the fact that it looks really cool, is that it's really quite tiny. I mean, obviously, it's bigger than something like a Rollei 35, but it has a flash unit, and actually, like, you know, it's thinner. Like a Rollei 35 is a bit of a brick of a camera, right? So if you were to put it in your pocket, it would stick out slightly. This, even though it's wider, it's thinner, so it actually slips in quite nicely into your pocket. So you're more likely to take it around with you. You don't really have to fiddle around with, like, guessing the, guessing the distance between you and the subject. It's got autofocus. So it's convenient. It's convenient, it's got a flash, it's all good. Another thing I really like about this is, if you have a look at this dial here, on the focusing dial, you got 0.4 meters or 1.3 feet. Now, this is the closest focusing distance of this camera, and actually, 0.4 meters, that's 40 centimeters, that's really close. And that's useful, I like that.
I like that.
Going back to the good points, another thing is, I forgot to tell you how nice the lens is. It's proper sharp, really sharp. When it nails the focus, my goodness, it's something else. It's really good. Now, people say the Contax T3 is better. I really can't see how that could be in terms of just the lens sharpness, but I guess I'm going to have to find out at some point. Okay, now on to the bad points. First up is the 1/500th of a second maximum shutter speed, as I mentioned before. In itself, it wouldn't be too bad, but you don't have a filter ring attachment here, which means you cannot shoot wide open outdoors. That's a little bit of an issue, unless you use really slow film. I tend to use slow film, use flash indoors, but suppose I wanted to use, I don't know, something like ISO 800 or 1600 film. I can only really use it indoors and not outdoors. So that's a little bit limiting, but as I said before, most of the cameras of that genre, they have the same issue. The other thing I don't like about this is it's got the world's most complicated user interface. People complain about Sony cameras. They haven't used this thing. For the life of me, I couldn't figure out how to use change the time. So it's stuck on Japan time, because I bought it in Japan and they adjusted it all for me, and I looked it up online. And, it's not like I'm some kind of dummy. I've got a degree, but it looks like you need some kind of PhD to operate this thing. Oh my God. It's got the self-timer button. Honestly, if you can figure out how to use the self-timer on this thing, you're a better man than me, because I couldn't figure it out. There is something on it. There's a PDF online to tell you how to work this thing, but you got these two piddly little buttons over here and this dial, and somehow you operate all of the features using that. I don't know. It's a little bit annoying. Another problem I've personally found myself, and this is a little bit of a weird one, because online, if you read about the reviews, everyone raves about the matrix metering and how accurate it is. Well, all I can say is, if you've got black friends, right, you're going to overexpose, because for whatever reason, cameras and black people kind of don't mix. This is true. It's either blackface and then, it decides to overexpose everything. That's what I found anyway. It is what it is. I mean, I've overexposed this on a bunch of occasions. However, when it nails exposure, it nails it properly, really well. I used it at night, and I forget which film it was. I put in. It was a black and white film, and I was using flash, because it was something like ISO 100 or 400 or something. So it was obviously dark outside, and I was using the flash, and it couldn't handle it. Do you know what I mean? Everything was blown out, like blown highlights everywhere. And weirdly enough, that was the only time where black people were properly exposed and everyone else was blown out. But at other times, black people were kind of slightly underexposed, everyone else was slightly overexposed. It's a limitation of the system. Maybe I didn't have it on the right mode, and to change it from matrix to center meter, I figured it out eventually, but I think I figured it out a little bit too late. I put 5 rolls of film through it, and then, I just decided I'm going to get rid of this thing. As much as I like it, it is a little bit limiting for me. And the final thing I don't like about this, and this is a big one, is the autofocus. Now, I know it's made in the 1990s, and I know, if you're shooting at f2.8, the depth of field is quite shallow. And I've tested the autofocus against objects of a known distance, and it's always nailed it. However, in real life, the focus is a little bit hit and miss. Like, it might miss out by a smidge, it might miss by quite a lot. And this is a problem. Basically, when you're coupling missed focus with missed exposure, and you're wasting, I don't know, not a hell of a lot of frames, but maybe like 4 or 5 frames out of 36. It's a little bit annoying. You start to actually doubt the ability of the camera to basically get the shot at any moment. Do you know what I mean? And the last thing you want from a camera is to not trust the ability of the camera. And this is one of the reasons, actually, the only reason why I'm getting rid of this. It is a really nice camera to use. You know, there is no real issue because you can put it on manual focus, but I don't want to be guessing the distance like I do with the Rolly. So I rely on the autofocus a lot. As for the missed exposure, I don't know how you can fix that, you know, because sometimes it's a little bit over. It's very rarely under. You can adjust the exposure comp, but, you know, for me, I'd like to have it working straight out the box kind of thing. I know it's an old camera, so it could be slightly faulty. I'm not entirely sure. I don't have others to compare, but this is just my experience of this camera. Okay, let's have a look at a few pictures. Okay, first up, I've got this picture of this road sign here. It's done a pretty good job, to be honest. This is nicely exposed. It's quite clear here. The sky is a little bit blown out, but that's basically the film. It was kind of a cheap film. This was Fuji Color 100. That's what this was, right? And I compared this with the digital, and this is what the digital image looks like compared to the film. Digital, film, film, digital, okay? And I have to say, like, even though you got a lot more dynamic range from the digital, if you look at the clarity of the telegraph pole here, it's really nice. I also like this feature where you can actually add the time and the date at the bottom of the picture. Gives it a nice little like 90s vibe to it. It's pretty cool. I like that. Here's another picture. You compare it with this one. So this one's the digital, this one's the film. You can see there's quite a bit of lens flare, but the actual like resolution's pretty good. You know, you got a little bit more from this. This is Sony's IS35mm 2.8 on a Sony a7R III. So yeah, you're gonna have more resolution. But you know what? I don't. It's not like I dislike this image. I think that's pretty good. It's just there's a lot of flare here. But you know, it's a 90s camera. What can you do? Let's have a look at a few more pictures. So these were taken with Pro 400H, and you can see there's a little bit of motion blur. But I mean, you know, if it could have been handheld, it would have been okay. Okay, so here, this is what I was talking about, black faces. I mean, there's a lot of white and there's a black face here, right? And what happens is it overexposes because obviously it wants to. I don't know. I guess I can't blame the film for this, but everything's friggin' overblown. Like, surely that one black face can't, you know, tell the camera, right, I want everything to be blown out. But it is what it is. Here's a picture of me. Look how handsome I am. You know, a very handsome guy. Alright, this is my mate Ashraf. He's another Blick guy. It's cool. I like this picture. It's nice. It's got nice like bokeh in the background. It's good. I like it. All right, here's a Rolly 35 and a digital abomination here. You know, if you're going to go for digital, at least get a Nikon. What is this Canon business here? I don't know. All right, here's when it's nailed everything, right? Okay, yes, the shirt is blown out a little bit, but look at the face. The detail is, like, the individual hairs and everything is good. I like. Out of focus. Annoying. Here again, a lot of it's blown out, but the faces are in, so that's all good. Here, okay, you got a human being here and what appears to be some kind of ghost. We got a ghost. All right, okay. Here, that's nailed the exposure, I would say. That's nailed the exposure. Here, now this is an interesting one because literally nothing is in focus. I don't even know how that can even happen. Like, where is the focus here? Everything in the background is out of focus. The blit guy is out of focus. So it must have been focusing, like, in front. I don't know. What the hell that is. This is just weird. Okay. Another picture of me. I had to test out this Canon. Wasn't impressed, I have to say. Wasn't impressed. Right, that's nailed. You see, look at this group photo here. The one black guy decides that everyone else turns into ghosts, basically. Anyway, here we are. This is me. This is them. Yeah. Slightly blown highlights. It is what it is. Okay. So yeah, that's pretty good. I mean, this is a type of photography that I do. I take pictures of human beings, right? The film here, by the way, is Fujifilm Pro 400H. Beautiful film, right? Slightly out of focus, nailed focus. So it can nail focus, but sometimes it doesn't, you know? Nice, this is good portrait, you know? It's nicely blurred background. This is good, right? I'd say this is okay. I mean, the background is a little bit blown out, but these people are, you know, well exposed, so that's good. You see, this is, when you start to use flash, this is what happens, and it's annoying. Okay, let's have a look at a couple more. Okay, now we've got some black and white ones. In general, so far so good. Right, now we're starting to blow out some highlights. That's pretty good, you know. It is slightly overexposed. Here, very overexposed. That's okay, but my technique must have introduced a little bit of blur. Again, like, what is this overexposure? It's just a bit too overexposed. I mean, this is a ghost. This guy's a ghost. He's a ghost. Look at her. Okay. This is, I like the picture. It's just a damn shame, like, I couldn't get any more detail, you know, out of her, you know? It's a damn shame because I really like that picture, it's cool. Yeah, okay, so this guy, the focus is on, the exposure's not even, and this guy, dark skin, white skin, you know how it is. Should I even blame the camera at this point? Alright, here, right, white people. Overexposed, what can you do? You see, what is this? I don't know, I guess it's the matrix metering, because everything else is really dark, and, you know, it's going to try and compensate, but, you know, I expect cameras to be able to figure these things out. All in all, as you can see, I've captured some brilliant memories with this camera. And that's what it's about. It's about capturing memories. I love this picture. This picture's cool. You see, this is all overexposed. Overexposed. Just us messing about. Overexposed. 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 Okay, I'm just going to leave you now with a few more pictures where I've actually liked the way the pictures have turned out. So, hope you enjoy. Okay, so all in all, I reckon it's a good camera, but it falls short of greatness. You know, it's nice to use, but losing those frames through exposure issues and focus issues, you know, I gotta let this thing go. So overall, I would say I would give it a 7 out of 10. Scrap that 6 out of 10.